Welcome to another Adventures with Bill. On today's adventure, I'm going to be showing you how I made and installed this mounting bracket for mounting a trolling motor to the Pond Prowler or the Sportsman 10, one of the little plastic fishing boats. Hope you enjoy the video. If you have any ideas or suggestions how to improve this, please let me know in the comments below. This is the used Pond Prowler type boat that I bought and previously owned, and there had been a couple little modifications to it. I'll probably undo those, but I'm wanting to mount my Motor Guide XI3 remote controlled trolling motor on the front of this because it has spot lock and it's a very powerful trolling motor. I bought the trolling motor to use on my kayak, and it comes with a removable bracket, so I want to be able to change it over and put it on the Pond Prowler quickly and easily. This is the front of the transom here, and it's got a raised up area about 2 inches high. I wish it was completely flat with the front edge of the boat. It would make it a lot easier to make a bracket, but since it's raised up, I'm going to deal with that. There's a hole there in the center of it because the guy had a eye bolt screwed through that to use to tie it to his trailer, and I'll be reusing the eye bolt to mount the new stainless steel bracket that I'm going to make. I'm going to have to replace this power plug because it's the different type than what my motor takes, so that'll be coming on. This is the 12 volt or 24 volt pin that is standard on my trolling motor, the Motor Guide. I've got it set here in place just on a couple rocks, trying to figure out the best position for the motor, how far forward or how far back that it needs to be mounted. And I've got the motor vertical now, the way it's going to be used. And here you can see that in this position, I've got about 1/4 of an inch clearance from the front of the boat, the shaft of the motor. This is a very rigid shaft and a very heavy duty trolling motor system, so it's not going to be flexing that much. So that clearance should be plenty. And this is the bottom of the mounting bracket. It's actually a 2-piece mounting bracket for the trolling motor. This piece is mounted, the black plastic with the holes in it on the bottom is mounted to the trolling motor, and there's another half of that bracket fits inside of that is mounted to your boat. And the 2 holes are for a stainless steel pin to go through to lock it in place. Very quick, easy install and remove. I'll show you that at the end of the video. Here it is kind of positioned in place the way that it's going to be the final install. If you look underneath the trolling motor head down on the ground, that's actually the aluminum block that will be mounted to the bracket on the Pond Prowler. Here in front of the trolling motor, down laying in the boat, is a piece of stainless steel. It's heavy-duty stainless steel. It's used as a chute for something. That's what I'm going to make the mounting bracket out of. It's always handy to have scrap things like that laying around. Didn't cost me anything, but I think it's going to work really well. I'm going to sandwich the front transom, front and rear, with the bolt going through to fasten it in place. So the legs going down are going to need to be about 3 inches long, as the tape measure shows. Here I've got that stainless steel piece marked off with a section to be cut out on the sides. That top portion is the part that's going to be bent over on the front. And so it's going to come up 3 1/4 inches roughly, and then 2 inches wide on the top portion. And I'll show you how when I get it built up. So here it is cut out. I just used a 4 1/2 inch angle grinder with all the safety gear, safety glasses, gloves, all that protective stuff, because you got to be safe. And it used a 4 1/2 inch cutting wheel on it, abrasive cutting wheel, cut through the stainless, really nice. And here I've got it, this is the side angle of it cut, and I've used an angle grinder with a flap disc and smoothed over all the edges because we don't want any sharp stainless steel edges on this bracket. I'm getting ready to bend the front leg down. That's going to mount on the front of the transom. And I've actually got a Harbor Freight bending tool, but because of the side legs that stick out, I can't use that tool to do it. So I just clamped this large aluminum block on the back of the bend line. And here on the front of it, I've got just a piece of steel to keep it from flexing instead of bending. And with a little hammer work, I've got it bent. So here it is, just test fitted on the front of it, and the gap is about right. I'm going to weld another piece on the back side of the transom. You'll see that later, so that it goes from stainless to the transom to the stainless. The bolt will sandwich it there together. Here I've got the trolling motor laying on that piece of stainless. I need to mark off the back edge of it so that I know how long this bracket's going to be. And I've got the motor positioned in place, and I've marked it off now. The plan is that it's going to, at the back edge of the mounting bracket, it's going to bend straight down, and then when it gets to the angled surface near the floor of the pontoon prowler, I'll have to bend it out. That's that dotted line that says bend. That's going to be bent out on a 45-degree angle, so it will lay flush against the hull. And here it is cut out with the angle cutter again, the grinder, the same thing. Here I've got it bent just straight down. I don't have the angled portion bent yet. I'm going to be welding this all together when it gets finished. And I just got it bent over. Again, hammer and a vise, big hammer, because this is pretty thick stainless steel. And I used one of the cutoff pieces of stainless here on the inside, just to show you how the bracket's upside down here, where it's going to sandwich the transom. And it's ready to be welded in place. Just the inside view of the same thing. Oh man, look at those ugly welds. Used a MIG welder and just made sure I got plenty of penetration on it. You can see the heat welds from the inside, and it's a lot of spatter on that, but the good solid weld is going to hold. And at this point, I've got it in my Harbor Freight bending tool. I made a separate video on how to soup up the Harbor Freight 36-inch bender, and you can find that on my YouTube channel as well, Adventures with Bill. So just lift it up, easy, and there the 45-degree angle is bent. I've got it laying mounted on the boat, not mounted, but just sitting on the boat in the location. And here you can see that 45-degree angle on there. Actually had to bend it just a little bit more to make it completely flush, but it sits on there really nice, ready for the mounting holes to be drilled. So here is the aluminum block that's used to mount the trolling motor, part of the two-piece mounting kit. And normally those come, when you buy them, they're made out of plastic, Delrin, UHMW, nylon, some very hard plastic. But I've got the original piece mounted on my kayak for when I put the trolling motor on the kayak. So I had a good friend. Actually, I took all the dimensions, made him a drawing. He milled it on his milling machine, this block out of solid aluminum for me. And so it'll be aluminum on this one, plastic on the kayak. That way I don't have to try to unbolt it and switch it back and forth. So the next thing was to grind all the welds off and clean the whole surface of that bracket up. You can see the different views of it, and here it's laying in the boat in the position, and you can see the holes, 8 holes that will be fastening to the inside of the hull. You've got to drill the hole all the way through for the existing hole in the transom. So there's the transom hole. I marked the center of it and the height of it with a straight edge, and then I simply took and transferred those lines onto the bracket. That should be where the hole needs to be located. Here it is sitting in place, just test fitting it here before the final paint, using it to locate that aluminum mounting block in exactly the right position. And here it is. Got it screwed on, socket head cap screws with 1/4 20 nylock nuts underneath to keep that aluminum block in place. And I think this is looking good. You can see here the hole is drilled through the stainless steel for the transom mounts. And of course, we got to paint this thing. So I've got the aluminum. I don't want to paint the aluminum block, but this has all been sanded down, and it's got a nice coat of primer on it. And here it is with kind of a battleship gray enamel, epoxy enamel paint. Should be very durable, and it's ready to put on at this stage. So there's nothing left to do but install it. So I ran that eye bolt all the way through the transom, put a couple nuts on the back side to lock it in place. That was a fun job because there's not a lot of room under the mounting bracket to get to that back side of the bolt, but just enough room to slide my hand in, and used a ratchet with a swivel on it to lock the two nuts in place. And so the front end is in place. Now I simply have to mount the screws in the back, and there it is. It's all screwed in place, stainless steel, super sturdy. I think it looks good. Here is just showing the pin that you pull in and out that locks the trolling motor onto this mounting bracket. Well, here is how easy it is to install the trolling motor on the new mounting bracket that I made for the Pond Prowler 10-foot mini boat. The new bracket, the mounting bracket, set it in place. It's easy as that. Then you plug it in, all done. When you want to remove it, just the opposite. Pull the locking pin out, off you go.